This question makes it really easy to predict the question because the answer choices follow a familiar format. Okay, so they're all pronouns. They're weird pronouns. We don't usually see this kind of like reflexive pronoun. I think that's what it's called. If I'm wrong, don't worry about it. The grammar names don't matter. But we don't see those, but we do see pronouns that all have this same kind of difference between them, that some of them are singular and some of them are plural. So a word like themselves, that's plural. Himself or herself. I know that it's listing two things, but this is singular. And in a lot of cases, this is actually what we're supposed to say when we say themselves, right? So we use the plural when we're supposed to use the singular. So we haven't gotten into the sentence yet, but something to keep in mind. This would also, I guess, be plural because the word there, and then oneself, well, one is one thing, so that's probably singular as well. So now the rule dictates that we need to match our pronoun with something else in the sentence. So what are we referring to? Let's go to the sentence. Just as travelers taking road trips today may need to take a break for food at a rest area along the highway, settlers traversing the American West by train in the mid-1800s often found, themselves, right? We're talking about settlers in need of refreshment, right? So we're referring to the settlers being refreshed, so therefore that's multiple people, so a plural is correct. So this is a case where, at first glance, I thought we were about to get tricked, and that the right answer was going to be choice B because that's a very common trick. I'll show you an example in a second. But actually here we see that settlers is plural, and so there we go. We're done. We can just keep what's there. And I know that C is also plural, but I hope that that sounds weird to most of us. Their selves, like that's just not a thing. That's not a word, it's not a thing. So hopefully we recognize that like that just doesn't sound good, and A does, it sounds normal, so we pick the one that sounds normal. That's a good rule of thumb on the SAT. But let me give you a case where normal might be a little weird. Let me try to come up with an example here. A person should clean themselves regularly. How about that? I think that's some good advice. You should clean yourself. So what are we really doing here? So here's themselves. I said that that's plural, and here's a person. That's singular. So this is weird, right? Because we are supposed to use singular pronouns when we're referring to singular things. So a person should clean themselves regularly. Technically is wrong. I mean, it doesn't sound amazing, but it also doesn't sound totally wrong. A person should clean themselves regularly. Like, maybe I would say a person should clean themselves. Maybe I'd say that instead, but themself is not really a thing because now we're mixing plural and singular as well. What we really should say is a person should clean himself or herself regularly. A person should clean himself or herself regularly. Personally, what I really want to say is him or herself. I don't know if that's okay. Maybe I put a little dash there. I don't know. I honestly don't know of the grammar of that situation and whether I could say this number 2. But number 1 I definitely could say. It sounds a little clunky, and it is because that's just not how we talk. But it's how we're supposed to follow the rule because that is singular because it's referring to one person. We don't know if that one person is a him or a her, so we have to be politically correct, use both, but it's got to match the singular person that we brought up before. So the best way to fix the sentence, to be quite honest, is to change a person to make that plural so that it sounds normal and is grammatically correct. So I would instead say, people should clean themselves regularly. That sounds good, that's fine, and that's the best way to do it. But, this situation could come up in the SAT where we're suddenly kind of choosing a weird singular pronoun because of the sentence, even though when we speak we would say it differently, and that's because we say it wrong. So these pronoun rules are tricky because there are lots of cases in real life where we say the wrong thing so often that the wrong thing actually starts to sound right. And pronouns are that case, we got to be careful. So predict the question, know its grammar, follow the grammar rules, not just how it sounds.